Is this situation in Kinmen with the increased presence of Chinese Coast Guard ships, is this situation going to escalate?
Well, I mean, I think what you're already seeing is that it is escalating now, but that is pretty typical of how China conducts maritime gray zone operations is it seeks opportunities to escalate, believing that it has a greater appetite for escalation than its opponent. So we've seen this time and again in the South China Sea and in other locations. So in this case, you had a small boat illegally in Jinmen's waters, and the during again unregistered, no certificate, clearly doing illegal activity, possibly smuggling. And when the Taiwan Coast Guard gives chase, the boat capsizes and two people die. And China has seized on this as an opportunity to increase its patrol. So this shows us how China uses pretext as a method for advancing its strategic objectives.
Looking at the fact that two people died, is China justified in any way for increasing its presence around Jinmen?
Well, of course, it's justified entirely in its own framework, since it believes that all of Taiwan belongs to China. So almost anything that it does, it's justified, right? So it doesn't have to justify itself to itself. What it has to do is try to somehow get Taiwan and the rest of the international community to sort of look away or not pay too much attention because, well, it's understandable. But it's really not understandable if you actually take it apart and consider each thing in its own terms. The boat itself was almost certainly engaged in illegal activities, right? Just the characteristics of the boat. It seems unlikely that those activities were legitimate fishing, if it was fishing at all. Looks more like a smuggling operation, frankly. And then the response is over the top. It's sort of almost ridiculously over the top. To suddenly now increase your maritime patrolling within Jinmen's waters is clearly just exploiting the situation to advance China's goals.
As we're seeing more and more Chinese Coast Guard ships patrol these waters, is this a sign of a new normal?
Well, they've practically announced it, right? So the Global Times just came out with an article that said that we're now going to normalize these activities, and so they've told you already that that's their entire intent is to give you a new normal. And again, this meets entirely with this pattern that we've seen from China over the years of using the pretext of some event. It could be a tragedy, it could be an incident of some sort, and then to use that as the pretext by which it then takes that next step and then settles everybody in at that next new normal, so that then there can be in the future another new normal.